Hi, today we are going to talk about the pattern recognition. The pattern recognition is the science that deals with the processes of engineering, computer, and maths related to physical or abstract objects, with the purpose of extracting information to establish properties of these objects between sets. In image, after the process of segmentation, feature extractions, and description, each object is represented by a collection descriptor called pattern. The pattern recognition approaches are the statistical pattern recognition, syntactic pattern recognition, neural networks, and logical combinational pattern recognition. The statistical pattern recognition is an approach that is based on the theory of probability and statistics that assumes that you have a set of numerical measurements with known probability distributions of, and from them, the recognition is made. It uses analysis of variance, covariance, dispersal, distribution, etc. For the syntactic pattern recognition, is an approach that is based on finding the structural relationships that keeps the object of study, using the theory of formal languages. The objective is to build a grammar that describes the structure of the universe of objects. The neural networks are an approach that involves having a structure of interconnected neurons that stimulate each other and can be trained to give some response when certain values are presented. The logical combination pattern recognition is an approach that is based on the idea that the modeling of the problem should be as close as possible to the reality of it, without making assumptions which are not sustained. One of the key aspects of the approach is that the characteristics used to describe the objects of study should be treated carefully. For the pattern recognition problems, we have three aspects. The variable selection, which is to determine what the most appropriate set of objects to describe the features. The suppressive classification, and it is to classify new objects based on information from a sample and classified. And the unsupervised classification, that is given unclassified find as a sample of the same ranking. For the selection of variables, we need the classification, that is a selection of relevant features from the total set of characteristics that describe objects. Is made with two basic reasons: to improve the classification and to increase the processing speed. For the representation, we need to decide which features better represent certain types of objects. And we have two strategies. To wrapper, that is to feature selection, is made using information classification mechanism, and the filter, that the selection is made with independent judgment of the classifier. The supervised classification methods are the separation of surfaces, that they represent objects in a set of Rn, and surfaces that separate classes soft. Discriminant functions. If two classes seeks to obtain a function g such that for a new object, or if g of 0 is bigger than 0, is assigned to class 1, and in other case to the 2. In there are multiple cases, a set of functions is that g of I and the new object is placed in the class where the function takes the greater value. The neighbor. A new object is located in the class where the object of the original sample is most similar. And the neural networks is a network of interconnected neurons and are trained, with examples for each class. With these to introduce a new object in your network, entires will result in the class to which it belongs. The unsupervised classification is for a given a sample of unclassified objects, getting the structure in the sample classes. The restricted is the number of classes in which the same is structured previously defined. Free is the number of classes in which the sample is structured and it depends only on the data. Strategies. The hierarchical, that can be divisive or agglomerative. Regrouping. A first grouping is made and will refine it iteratively. The combinational logic. Certain conditions to be met is defined groupings and groups that are seeking compliance. The simple link and link complete. Start from unitary groups of objects and are joining the most similar groups at each stage to meet some conditions. The isodata, that are forming groups that fit iteratively using probability theory. In some versions can make a union or division of a group. C-means, that is a group of seeds that are defined. Each object is associated with the group closest seed. The centroid of each group, as new seeds are taken and iterate until it stabilizes. The combinational logic. The criteria are imposed on groups such as being related, maximal, complete, compact, etc. Now the processes. The recognition is a process by which a label for a particular pattern is assigned. The class is a set of entities that share some characteristics that distinguishes them from others. Kind of rejection is a set of entities that cannot be labeled as any of the classes of the problem. The classifier is a subsystem that uses a feature vector quantifiable entity and assigns it to one of M classes. The evaluation of misclassification. Misclassification, empirical rate error, or empirical rejection rate, or independent dataset. the false rejection and false acceptance obtain patterns in different classes, so it is incorrect. The patterns that describe objects of different kinds present different characteristics. There are two main methods for recognizing main patterns: the theory decision and the structural decision. The theory decision. It uses a discriminant function which somehow separates you-got patterns from pattern recognition. We have some characteristics, like the discriminant function that measures the relevant class for the pattern X, the decision recognition Ri, that set of all points of space allocated to the recognizer class Ci, the frontera decision that separates decision regions, decider that selects the kind of higher or lower value of the discriminant function, the adaptation that they represent each class using a prototype pattern, so two main types are handled. The classificator minimum distance, the adaptation by correlation, the minimum distance classifier that is characterized by the discriminant functions being my class prototype I pattern, the sample assigned to the closest class, the adaptation by correlation. The correlation classifier is the adaptation by correlation of methods that are also based on the comparison of the image to sort through one or more pattern images that characterize each class, and the correlation coefficient that provides a measure invariant to changes in amplitude. The structural recognition is based primarily on the representation of objects of interest, such as arrays, trees, or graphs. The major difference between the structural and theoretical decision is that the theoretical quantitative descriptors used, while the structural uses mainly symbolical information. The theoric approach decision could be based on the formation of vectors of the interior angles and polygons, while the structural approach could be based on the definition of the symbols for the range of values and then forming a chain of such symbols for described patterns. And that's all. Thank you very much.